Kalimera, kalispera, kalinichta, no matter where in this wild, wacky, and sometimes wonderful world you might be, thank you for making the Highbury Squad part of your day. Oof, I thought we were almost going to do it there. Hold on one second, you guys. Hold on. Okay, I can hear myself now. I forgot my headphones. Woof. What a game. Let's talk about it.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Arsenal versus Liverpool post-game show. Arsenal 2, Liverpool 2. Why does it feel like a loss? Why does it feel like a loss? Let's talk about it, shall we? At ease, squaddies, at ease. Thank you for joining Squad Central. And for those of you listening on replay, thank you so much for joining. Don't forget to leave your comments in the comments section. Wow, this was a game of two halves. I hate saying that, and such a cliche. Before we get stuck into a few bits and bobs, it's your last chance to get into the football prizes. Visit footballprizes.co.uk for an opportunity to win the Ian Wright shirt. It ends tomorrow at 7:30. Arsenal versus Liverpool always is going to be a tough match. But let's start at the very beginning, and that means welcoming each and every one of you to Squad Central. Like Tammy says, please hit the like button and give it a subscribe if you haven't. Obba Harvey, almost an Obba. It wasn't quite an Obba in the end. Skills says robbed. This team is missing Odegaard 100%. 100%. Galispera, Trevor as well. Wesbird, hello to you. Gorgeous squaddies, they are indeed. Kurt, at ease, at ease. Goonerwork says it feels like a loss because every dropped point matters against the City Behemoth, and we should be winning all of our home games if we want to win the league. I honestly thought we were going to win that game. I thought we were playing with such confidence, but let's say some more hellos and we'll get stuck into it. Big up the panel and chat, smash the likes. This is the place to come to have your voice heard, people, and to just roll on what Jonathan said. I'm deflated, tired, just give the title to City. Let's not give up just yet. You've come to the right place if you want a little bit of hope. We're not at the same level as last year. Defensively stronger, offensively weaker. Mask Gunner, hello. Here live for a change, but can't stay long. Have to go and work on the house renovation. Well, good luck with that. Nothing like a lovely house renovation. Hit the like button, please. Let's start at the very beginning. I had all of my, when you're watching the game, you're also thinking about the post-game show. And you're thinking, what do you want to say? What are the storylines? And it was building. It was building to what I thought was going to be an Arsenal win. And I'm not going to sit here today and kind of rag on the players. There's definite challenges that this squad is facing early in the season. And if you remember last season, we weren't playing great at this point. We went on the Dubai November break, came back, things were a little better, but let's not forget our season really did start after those horrible results against West Ham and Fulham. And so I don't think that we should give up just yet, because there's going to be a point in this season where everybody faces adversity. And our adversity has definitely come early on. And wouldn't we rather deal with the adversity now than later on in the season when we know Manchester City from February onwards gets stronger? They've started well, but they haven't played great, but they're getting results. We haven't played great, and we've only lost one game, and we're losing. We've lost our spine. And I don't want to be the one that sits here and says that with Saliba and Odegaard that we win that game today. But you've got to say that when you lose players like that, it is very, very difficult. And we sat on this show earlier this week and talked to the legend that is Stevie Nicol. And I was exceptionally worried because we didn't know if Saka or Timber were going to be fit to play. So as I was watching the first half and the first half, let's start off with some really super positives, okay? Bukayo Saka. The importance of Bukayo Saka is incredible. Good evening, Brady's Banana. James Johnson, hello. Mikel reacted. We'll get to the comments. I just wanted to give a shout out to Bukayo Saka and reaching his 50-goal landmark. Could you imagine this game if Saka wasn't playing? Definitely in the first half. He is such a special player, okay? And in that first half, I thought that he played at a world-class level where he tortured Robertson. And to reach this landmark, to be captain at his age, to have come through the academy, to have really been the shining light for Arsenal for a few seasons now is incredible. And I was thinking as I was watching that first half, how would this have been without him? And it would have been difficult. And his goal, the way he took it, the way he broke Robertson's ankles, the confidence, he put the team on his shoulders at that point, and there was nothing short of a determined Bukayo wanting to score that goal. And it was an incredible take, and it was an incredible finish, and it was a brilliant start to the match. And we absolutely needed that. We needed him. And in that moment, it was obvious, you know, again, the importance of this player. And we often talk about who's Arsenal's most important player. We had that show with Tom Canton. And, you know, subsequently, I spoke to LeGrove about it as well. Some really great past episodes that some of you guys are missing. Please keep supporting the channel and go and watch these shows, because there's a real superb dialogue and conversation and some real great football intelligence out there, along with you guys and your comments that make it quite compelling. And I thought what was compelling in the first half is how we played with the confidence without Saliba, without Odegaard, and knowing that, you know, Timber is still coming back. We saw he came off in the second half, but the importance of Bukayo was fundamental. And I thought that he started off the game brilliantly and was absolutely superb. Peter says, so depressing that we dropped points thanks to a corrupt ref and potentially lost Gabriel. Our bad luck never seems to end. I think we need to stop feeling sorry for ourselves. I don't think it helps. And actually, Pedro from the Arsenal Opinion podcast said on the show last week that we're getting into a bit of a victim mentality, and we don't want that victim mentality to also become the culture of the players or the club this season. Every team faces adversity. I mean, Newcastle last season were decimated with injuries, right? There are going to be these moments, and we've suffered from that. And I don't want to hear about the summer transfer window and the fact that we didn't strengthen enough. This team today put in a good enough performance to win that match. And it was two poor defensive mental lapse moments. That corner was the worst for me. Listen, the breakaway goal in their second goal, I thought it was a really well-played goal. It was a great pass from Trent. It was a really good finish. David Raya really couldn't do much about that. But their first goal from a set piece, as good as we are at set pieces, we're starting to fall into a little bit of a bad habit when it comes to conceding goals from set pieces, and that was poor. And otherwise, I thought that we did really, really well defensively. I didn't think that they troubled us too much. And part of that, I think, and I believe that we need to give some credit here, right? Because Thomas Partey was playing in right back, and I thought that he was brilliant today. I thought, and I don't know what you guys think, and let me know, but I thought Thomas Partey was absolutely superb. And players like Thomas Partey work in the shadows, right? I don't believe players ever develop a victim mentality. That's just fans only. Yeah, well, maybe. Our chief like officer thinks Partey was man of the match. Let's talk about Thomas Partey for just a little bit, because we have all heavily criticized him, and many of us felt that he was finished, and a lot of us felt that he was surplus to requirements and we were ready to move on. But I would argue, okay, that when he is in this kind of form and he plays this way, he is still one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. And to be asked to play right back in a high pressure situation against Liverpool, where, you know, you're losing your best defender in the entire team in Saliba, I thought he was brilliant. And you know what? Did he lose him? He lost Van Dijk. I think 2 or 3 players lost their marker in that first goal, Demsek. And I know it's really hard because I felt like positionally we just lapsed. Positionally, I thought it was poor, but the reaction was very poor. And Nikola Jova would like celebrating the goals that we score from set pieces. But I also think that we need to address our positions when it comes to corners. Every time they had a corner today, I actually got a little bit worried. Let me get some of your comments up here on Thomas Partey as well. Please hit the like button, by the way. It helps the show, and it'll be nice. Partey has been outstanding for the last 3 games. Partey played very good today. Hard to find faults. 100% Sophie says Mr. W. Excellent. Matthew says Partey is the man of the match. Harvey, Partey was superb apart from the corner goal. I get it. I know. But you know what? I think that you could pick on every single player today where there was a little lapse and a moment. But overall, I thought that we played a very solid game. Okay. And I can't sit here and bitch about the players and complain about the players today, because I thought that we did enough to win that game. And Merino had a great chance in the first half, right? That goes in, could be a different game as well. But again, I'm not going to complain about him because he got his first goal for Arsenal and it was superb. Hello, Olare. How are you? Let's just finish some of these Partey comments before we go on to Mikel Merino. Partey was immense, but at the same time, it's clear as daylight. Rice is our best number 6. Going to get to him too. I thought he was superb today. Peter says, I hear you, Sophie. I sincerely believe we are the best team 11v11, but how do we break the chain? I try to be positive, but ridiculous injuries and poor decisions seem never ending. Listen, I understand. Things have not gone for us this season, but we've also done it to ourselves. You know, the Declan Rice red card, that was ridiculous. Trossard should have known better. Saliba should have known better. Trossard's pass back in that Bournemouth game, even worse. You know, mental lapses in moments. We can't blame others. We had every opportunity to win that game today. And you see 11v11, we can match up to anybody. And let's not joke around here. Everyone has started talking about this Liverpool team being one of the best because they've had the greatest start ever in their league history. Think about the managers they've had. Paisley, Shankly, Dalglish, Klopp. And this is the best start under Arne Slot, who's just come in. I thought they made a mistake not starting Szoboszlai today. I thought that I was prepared to meet a midfield that I had been fearing. And we talked to Stevie Nicol about that. And, I was a bit worried about that earlier this week. But I thought that we handled it brilliantly. And Nottingham Forest, Mohammed, have been superb this season. We need to give respect where respect is due. Right? So, Sophie, for me, people should just take a draw. MLS over Zinchenko, was that right? Probably. Yes, I do. Flautelligent, I agree with you, Soph. We played a very technical game. We were allowed Liverpool to have possession in our half and tried to hit them on the counter. Abdul Kadir, we can't win the title this year. 9 points dropped already. Let's be real. I'm not talking about winning the title, but I don't think that we should claim the title is over in October. All right, it's almost November. But it can't be over. Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, who's to say that Liverpool can't beat City? City might drop points to a lesser team. They may get injuries as well. We don't know. I know that history tells us it's not going to work out that way. But we can't give up. Losing today would have been a disaster. But getting that point meant everything. I thought it was a must-win game just because it's going to be hard to make up those points. But you have to believe that points will be dropped. Liverpool will go through adversity this season. I guarantee it. It will happen. Arne Slot in his first season is going to face some adversity. The biggest question is, will Manchester City? And mostly the answer to that is probably no. But we can't give up on the title yet. Mikel Arteta and the team are not giving up on the title yet. The Balaguna. Sophie, there are players who are given praise when they play well, but are always one poor game away from being slated. Partey is one of them. True. He pushes past Partey to score the goal. Okay. Should he have been on the pitch? He kicked Kai Havertz twice. And got away with it. Didn't even get a card. Nothing. See, I want to look to those moments. The Luis Diaz, preventing us from taking the set piece quickly. We're used to that now, are we not? The inconsistency is absolutely ridiculous. There's nothing we can do about that. Nothing. And unless clubs band together and start creating some type of movement against the officials. I mean, we're seeing Howard Webb going on Sky Sports, talking like he's a superstar, picking out Michael Oliver as the player who'd be the best player. They're making themselves into celebrities. It's ridiculous. There's nothing we can do about that. Absolutely nothing. And so I'm using my energy to focus on some of the things that were good today and considering that we were missing players. I thought this was a good performance. Okay. I asked Stevie Nicol last week, do you still fear Saka and Martinelli? And his answer was absolutely yes. And I thought Martinelli was superb today. We're going to do player ratings a bit later on, but an overall, we'll get stuck into some other bits and bobs when we do the player ratings. But I just want to go through this real quick. I thought Martinelli, when he became a little bit of a scapegoat at the start of the season, Gabriel Martinelli, I think in the last 2 or 3 games, has been superb. Couple of passes he could have made a little bit quicker today, but he caused problems. He was a menace and he was playing with confidence again. And I think that is fundamentally important. We talked about Saka at the top of the show. Asked Stevie, do you still fear? I put this picture up last week, not knowing that he would skin Andy Robertson, but he did. Who is better up front was another question. I thought today we were I thought they were clinical at the end when given the opportunity. But when you look at their talent, Jota, of course, not available today. And I thought our bench did really well. Ask that question too. Do Liverpool have a better bench than the Arsenal? And for these reasons, you know, I thought that we showed today that despite the adversity, we can play really well. And to see Mikel Merino. So if you remember last week, and I hold my hands up. Let's hold on, get some of this. Martinelli's decision making is rubbish. He was woeful today. Do you really think that? Is there anyone else that thinks that Martinelli was woeful? Martinelli was great, but I don't get it. Top professional at top club, finishing has been poor this season. Would you not every day be practicing your finishing? Referee was awful today. Martinelli, fantastic. He shall rise again and be a goal machine soon. He's not the reason why we didn't finish or score goals today. I thought that he was really good. His finishing needs improving. Yes, it does. We've talked about that. But considering where he was at the start of the season to where he is now, I think it's night and day. Absolutely night and day. I think defensively, Martinelli was fantastic, but offensively, not his best, Sophie, in my opinion. Fair. Absolutely fair. And this is why he plays. And we're going to get to that. And if that's an issue, because I felt like at 2-1, we should have put our foot on their throat and gone for it. And there's a comment here somewhere. James Johnson, Sophie, other than Saka, no killer in this team. Before the second goal, Martinelli has a great chance and cacks himself leading to that counter. The mentality, that second half, shocking. I'm so damn sick of us having to play against 12 men every single game because that's what it feels like. Some very upset and angry folks in the house. I don't know. I felt like overall Martinelli was exceptionally good, caused problems, took more than one player with him when he was on the offensive, has so much discipline in defense. Without him, it's very difficult to combat a team like Liverpool going forward. And I thought that he supported his defense brilliantly. And when he was asked to be the first line of attack, made much better decisions than he had at the start of this season. So, Mikel Merino, I thought this was his best game for Arsenal. Thought that we saw the quality, his football intelligence. I felt like he was one or two plays ahead. Great thinking, positionally very, very good. And he got his first goal. Could have had two. But I thought he, in the absence of Thomas Partey in midfield, was really solid and complemented and supported Declan Rice. I thought the two of them together were fantastic. And Evgeny thinks Merino was refreshing. Jeffrey says, good game. I think we would have won not for the injuries. Harvey thinks you must be more of a killer when we're on top. Absolutely. Olere says Martinelli was good today, but lost the ball. They scored. Arteta has crap tactics. Why go so defensive? Do you think, okay, let me ask you this. Second half shocking. Julian, evening to you as well. Why do we go? Okay, I'm going to ask you this question, guys. Do you think Mikel is asking them to go into a shell in the second half? Do you remember we had this conversation with the Great One and with other players that have been on this show? David Hillier, we talked to a few weeks ago. Do you really think that Mikel Arteta is saying to them to go into a shell in the second half? I mean, he may be adopting more cautious tactics, right? There's no doubt about that this season. But we had opportunities to make it count. And I thought we did enough today to win that game. And there's a fear factor, I think, to the way we're playing this season. I think last season we played fearless football from January onwards. And I think this season, because of the adversity that we've faced with red cards and injuries, you must understand that he's going to proceed with a little bit of caution. Probably knew Timber wasn't going to be able to make the whole game, wanted to protect Saka at all costs. Then the unfortunate injury to Gabriel 6, which he wasn't accounting for, happens. And it's difficult to manage that process. And then you have to adapt again. So he's got all these jigsaw puzzles that he's trying to figure out. We also talked in the past to Tom about, do we give players like Kivior enough respect? And I know a lot of you are going to say he lost his runner. That's why they scored the second goal. These things happen in football. Players lose runners. You know, it's you could say that Southampton deserved a point yesterday against Manchester City if their finishing was more clinical. It would have been 1-1. We could point to so many things. But I thought the players that were asked to step in, and do you know how much pressure Kivior must have felt? Oh my gosh, no Saliba, no Gabriel 6, and I'm being asked to come in that position where it's totally, these players totally dominant. It's not easy. And you know what, Tammy? He may not be good enough, but right now he's what we've got. And I tweeted, this is football. Next man up. We can't keep crying about these things. And you know what? There was a time last season where Kivior played 7 or 8 games in a row, and he had that bad game against Bayern Munich, and the recovery has not been great for him. And it tells you everything that Mikel Arteta wanted to start, or started Partey at right back, and left Kivior on the bench. Trust is huge. It's such an important thing. And Mikel Arteta trusts certain players, and he's lost his trust in Kivior. I told you, a conversation I had with someone very high up at the club, it affected him. The Bayern Munich game mentally affected him, and he's been trying to recover since. And he's been trying, a la Robert De Niro in Meet the Fockers, get back into the circle of trust. Not easy with Mikel Arteta, who is absolutely ruthless. So then you have to ask this player to come on and perform for you against Liverpool in a high-pressure situation game. That is not easy. So, you know, difficult stuff. Back to Merino real quick. I thought, just to circle off on him, I thought he was really good today. Really good. And I thought Declan Rice was back to his best. Today, we saw Declan Rice, vintage Declan, commanding, and for me, becoming slowly a dead ball delivery expert. It was really good to see, because without Thomas Partey in midfield, Declan Rice had to step up. We needed a big performance from him, and we got it. And I thought that we got big performances today. Big performance from Thomas Partey, big performance from Mikel Merino, big performance from Declan Rice, a much more elevated performance from Martinelli, a superb performance from Bukayo Saka. And another area, this player is so huge for us, Jurrien Timber. A massive performance from him, coming back from that major injury. Clearly, he needs to be handled with, we just need to wrap him up in cotton wool and put him on the windowsill and water him every now and again to just keep him going for the season, because players like him are just too important. And he just showed again today how important he is to this team. And the truth is, you saw it, right? I'm not going to sit here and try and pour wool over your eyes, even though I'm using the cotton wool to wrap up Timber. But when these two went off, we lost a little bit of confidence defensively. How can you not? And it showed. I felt like the cracks opened, the stability was not gone, but question marks a little bit everywhere. And for me, that's the biggest criticism of the game. We can cope only so much with injuries. But then when one of your backbones is gone, when you've already lost one of your backbones in Saliba, that's difficult. It's difficult to manage. And seeing Gabriel go down, which hopefully is not serious. And if you guys have any quotes from Mikel Arteta to lob at me, please send them over. Let's get some of your comments up. Personally think Jesus should come on sooner. Trossard struggled in second half. I can't argue with that, but when he's playing with no confidence and he hasn't delivered, I can see why Mikel Arteta didn't pull the trigger earlier on that. Raul, first half very good, second half very bad. Gave the initiative to them, invited pressure, got punished, playing like 10 men with 11. I can't argue with that. I actually said to my cousin, when Kivior came on, I said, look, we're going to play like we've got 10 men now. Arteta has to work on his trust. He really does. He really, really does. Barry says, we need more players who can dribble under pressure like Saka did a few times in the first half. That type of, well, Martinelli can dribble, but you guys don't like, listen, he needs to look up more. He needs to pass the ball quicker. There's no doubt about that. And at some point, I get it. You're going to question, how is he not evolving from that? At this point in his career, he should be better than that. But Mikel Arteta also likes to play a certain way. Bring players in, keep ball possession, spread the ball. We don't have a prolific goal scorer. Kai Havertz, I feel for. He's not really getting any service and he's trying to insert himself in the game. And we've seen the best of Kai Havertz at Arsenal. And without Odegaard, I think Havertz is the player that is struggling the most. He's just not fitting quite into... There was a nice pass to Saka in the first half. There were a few moments. And at the end, by the way, what was that? What was the ref calling the foul for? In that position offensively, he's got to let the play evolve as well. Blows the whistle. There was nothing wrong with that header. That you can be angry about. I don't understand that. And Havertz, I liked how he put pressure on the referee, was in the referee's face. He had not had any decisions go his way in this match and clearly was frustrated. And for Kai Havertz, this was another difficult game. And Mikel Arteta needs to try and figure out the creativity part. I agree not starting Nwaneri in this game because if he, for me, it's a little bit like what we talked about with Stevie Nicol. You're going to throw Nwaneri in without Saliba, without Odegaard. He needs all his best players around him to succeed. Sorry, if Saka wasn't going to play, Odegaard, Timber. In the end, Saka and Timber did play, but I think it was the right decision to set up the way he did and bring Nwaneri off the bench. Should he have brought him on sooner? Yes, I think so. But going forward now against some of the teams we're going to be playing, we've got Newcastle, we've got Chelsea. What's he going to do creatively? Because the longer this goes on, the more we can see that as a game progresses, we are missing Martin Odegaard. And we're missing him a lot. And Trossard has lost that. I don't know what's happened to Trossard in the last 2 or 3 games. I thought in the first half he was decent, connected play really well. But we're going to need a lot more than that. And we're not getting that right now. And fundamentally, that is hurting us. Which is why I think Mikel Arteta isn't being as brave and playing more defensive football. And just trying to keep it tight at the top. Knowing that there's a long way to go yet. We're behind the curve. But this Odegaard injury, I think, is our biggest problem. He was good in the first half, Trossard. Trossard is an impact player, and now we are seeing it. I've said to Dan Potts, I love him off the bench. That's always how I've loved him, to come off the bench. Havertz has caught, what's this? Havertz has caught the Jesus bug and can't score. It's not getting any service. Sorry, but I have to rant, says Karen. I'm sick of these corrupt, incompetent officials. Obvious penalty not given. Van Dijk should have seen red. Jesus goal should have stood. Yeah, I mean, I'm really, really. Did he I think it hit him here. I don't think it was a clear handball. He blew the whistle anyway. Sophie, would you look at Zinny in midfield instead of Trossard? Is Mikel Arteta willing to take that type of risk, and is it a risk? Is it a calculated risk or is it a risk? I would give it a go. I would, because right now Trossard is not playing great. And Zinchenko was not brought Lewis Skelly was preferred over Zinchenko. So again, what does that tell you? It feels to me like that moment, the Emil Smith Rowe, the Reece Nelson, you know, when Arteta loses trust, loses faith, doesn't think you're good enough. You make a mistake, he punishes you for it. You're not going to play, only in a desperate situation. And I feel like Kivior today was a desperate situation. That's the only reason he came into the game. Otherwise, he's a body on the bench. But he needs to start trusting his bodies on the bench. And if they're not good enough, then you need to fix that in January. That's the opportunity that we have. We can bring in reinforcements. It's not going to be easy. Balancing the books is hard. But if you really want to go for the title, because that window, when you have this type of team and this type of momentum, and I'll bring up David Hillier again. Last season, he said to you guys on Monday Madness, going for it in an improbable season, it's exciting. Challenging when everyone expects you to, that's a good feeling to have that confidence and bravado as a team. Going for it again in a third season, very difficult. And I think Arsenal right now are going through that phase. And I think that Liverpool are experiencing an Arsenal 2022 moment. No one expected them to be challenging so soon after Jurgen Klopp's departure. Arne Slot inheriting the job from an absolute legend at their club. And they're going on this run that no one predicted. They're us 2022, which is why I feel like there's going to be a moment where they slip. For us this season, there's no excuses. We've learned our lesson from the improbable season. We've learned our lesson. I say learned. We should have learned our lesson from the improbable season, from last season, going into this season. But you can't account for injuries. It's not Mikel Arteta's fault. It's not the players' fault. It's just part of the game. And you need to be prepared. And that's where Mikel Arteta gets paid the big bucks, is to have this team prepared no matter who is available to start. And I thought today he did a good job of that. Okay. Thank you so much for that, Leon. 100% Sophie looked poor today, I'm afraid. I look poor today. I think Zinny's on the way out. Arteta is phasing him out. Yeah, I mean, it feels that way. If Waneri starts and has a mare, easy again. Absolutely. It's a Patino moment, isn't it, Demsek? It's a Nuno Tavares gets subbed in the first half moment. You just don't want that with young players, and he's too good. I didn't see anything that tell me if there's something going on in chat that I'm not aware of. Zinny would be great in midfield. Trossard was decent, though. Decent in the first half, not so good in the second. Peter, the period of time without Odegaard was a perfect chance. I hear you, but listen, he takes a while to trust, especially younger players. It's just not going to happen overnight. He'll play against Preston. He'll get those minutes. And I think, much like the way Pep managed Foden, that's how Arteta's going to manage Waneri. He will start certain games, but he's not going to be deploying him the way most Arsenal fans want. Trossard ran a lot in the first half, says Patrick. Karen says hopefully Odie will be back soon. Totally. Nick thinks we should be playing Waneri. I love how he's spelling his name because he's probably like, what? Barry said Trossard was good in the first half. Agree. Come on, squaddies, hit the like button. Please do. All right, let's do... Thank you so far, Wesbird. I appreciate that very, very much. All right, so we've talked about Saka. Congratulations. Would have been better if he'd have won the game, of course, but unfortunately you can't have it all. He was really fantastic in the first half. Great to see him back, and the fact that he was able to play is amazing. This player is so durable, he's so special. 50 goals, captains the side. Just a classy guy on and off the pitch. Just proud to have a player like that playing for the Arsenal. Brilliant stuff from Bukayo today. Timber, another player. Without him, how would that first half have looked? Absolutely superb. Merino gets his first goal. I thought he was dominant today. Technical ability, really superb. Declan Rice back to his best in that midfield with Merino and without his usual partner, Thomas Partey, who I thought was absolutely brilliant at right back. And yes, he lost a VVD, but I thought there were two other players in the mix there that could have made up for the marker. So why don't we do some player ratings? Quick fire ones for fun. Brilliant goal from Saka. Yes, absolutely brilliant. Don't forget as well, here's a player that would have scored a few goals today. Ian Wright, footballprizes.co.uk. Go get your ticket, $3.95. It's available this competition until tomorrow night, 7:30. It's really a great way to build up your memorabilia collection, and what Football Prizes do is make it super affordable for fans to be able to do that. So thank you to Football Prizes for always including us in these competitions, and good luck to all the squaddies who buy themselves a ticket. And if you win, do let me know. Partey man of the match, Lewis Skelly Flowers. Okay, let's do, if you have any quotes from Mikel, by the way, please do put them in the chat. I want to do some stats. Let's have a look here. I had it up and I lost it, so just bear with me a second and I will bring them up. Arsenal versus Liverpool, who I thought they were average today. We should have beaten them. So annoying. That's why I said to you at the top of the show, it kind of feels like a loss. Despite all of my positiveness, I've got to be honest. I felt like, I'm going to stop saying that. I'm always honest. We should have beaten them. We were better than them. Do you remember how many chances they had? I'll tell you how many chances they had. 9 shots on goal for both, 3 on target for us, 4 for them, 45% possession for us, 55 for them. They had 458 passes. We had 385. Their pass accuracy was 2% superior to ours at 82%. 14 fouls each, bit bitty at times, if I may say so. 2 yellow cards each, 2 offsides for us, 1 for them. We had 1 corner the whole match. They had 3. First half, I thought, was really good quality football. I thought they were decent, but I thought we were really good. We held our own in all phases of the play. I felt in units we worked brilliantly, with or without Saliba. I thought the back line was great. I thought the midfield was symphonic. And going forward, we were creating chances. We were creating problems. Second half, I didn't think it was a great game. And we allowed them too much. And I agree with what James said. And it was a little bit fearful football as opposed to fearless football at home. Had that been a Bournemouth, had that been another team, I say we go for it. But maybe we showed them too much respect in the second half. And we didn't go for the jugular. And we should have done that. And like I said, Mikel has to learn a little bit better about how to deal in those moments. Okay, so I'm going to give... How do you think David Raya did today? Got a yellow card for time wasting. Chinese is here. Go eat your Chinese. We're going to be out here in a minute. You know what I'm going to do? David Raya gets a 6, says Julian. Really? Partey man of the match for logical. And you know what? Lewis Skelly was brilliant when he came on. He's so good. You could see why he's getting chosen over Zinchenko. Yep. Checking the table is Nick. Tammy says 7. Kurt says 7. 7s, 7s, and 7s for David Raya. For the back line, I'm going to give Timber an 8. I'm going to give Gabriel 6, a 7. And I'm going to give Ben White a 7. Solid. I'm going to leave Thomas Partey till the end. Mikel Merino gets an 8. Declan Rice gets an 8. Trossard gets a 6. Martinelli gets a 7. Havertz gets a 6. Bukayo gets an 8.5. And Thomas Partey gets a 9 for me today. Let me know what you think of those grades, ratings. Let me know yours. And if you're listening on replay, please include them in the YouTube comments as well. Tell me if you think I'm crazy. Tell me if you think I am spot on. 100% repartee. Nelly gets a 6. Gabby gets a 7. 7s for Gabby, 7s for Raya and White, another 7, an 8 for Timber, an 8 for Timber. They have better forwards. Listen, we talked about that. They've got a great... Listen, I'll put the picture back up. But what did they do today? They didn't do much. They were clinical when they needed to be. And this is something that we need to keep working on. But we can't bash our players. Last season, we scored the most goals in the history of our Premier League, more than the Invincible side. I just think this is a high-pressure game against a top-tier team. Fine margins are going to decide it. These are the types of fixtures that you want your players to give their all. And today we did that. And that you couldn't ask more of them today, barring a couple of lapses in concentration. Thought the subs that came on did really well. Kivior had that moment. We've seen that happen to top players. In the end, we walk away with a 2-2 draw, but we need to figure out how to be better and not play fearful football. Why have we lost that edge in attack? Because Arteta trusts Odegaard the most, and he didn't have Saliba today either. And so for those reasons, I think that's why. Missing Odegaard is a real punch in the gut. And I don't know what we're going to do to overcome that. I hear the suggestions of Zinchenko. He doesn't even trust Zinchenko to play left back. He's going to trust him in midfield. Waneri, too soon for him, maybe. Doesn't want to put that pressure on his shoulders. He sees him all the time. We don't know. Maybe he wants to see him playing a few more cup games before he trusts him against a Newcastle or a Chelsea. So we're gonna find out. What is the rating for Mikel Arteta today? What is your rating for Mikel Arteta today? The gaffer rating. What are you giving him? You know, I thought Slot made a mistake. And on last Monday, I said to you guys, this is Arsenal's week for redemption. And I think that we overcame a very poor match against Bournemouth, mental mistakes. The key was to have 11v11. We haven't had that 3 times this season. And Slot, I think, made a mistake not playing their usual midfield. I believe Mikel Arteta, with what he had in front of him. And by the way, I know we criticize sometimes why so many injuries and have a dig at the medical team, but to be able to get Saka and Timber fit for this game was absolutely massive, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. Arteta 7, but Mr. W says 6. Poor subs, and I don't know, Craven, do you mean Crazy Tactics? He did great, unfortunate with injuries. Totally agree. 7, 7, 7. Hi, Lynn. Welcome to the show. Manager gets 7.5, a 4. Oof. That's harsh. A 7, a 6.5, a 9 out of 10, a 7, 5.5 from our chief like officer. You guys are ruthless like Arteta. Holy cow. Harvey says an 8. All right. And let's do our final rating, something I'm going to start including. What is the rating for the officials? Now, if you guys are feeling a little bit negative and you want to go bananas, now is the chance to do so. Arsenal versus Liverpool, Anthony Taylor. They're so annoying, aren't they? They're annoying. They're not even like the annoying relative at the dinner table that you never really wanted to invite and then just somehow finds a way to like steal the show and dominate the conversation when all you want to do is just punch them. So here we go. 6, says Kurt. 3 PW, 1. We got 2, we got 3, we got 1, we got 2s. 3, 6.5, 2. Oh, thank you, Newman. I don't really use that word, Craven. You know, I didn't see the C. I thought I did see the C. Yeah, don't know. Sorry, I'm quite good with my lexicon. Thought I was smart. This is why. Okay, there's always someone smarter than you. But yes, 2 from Newman. There's no surprise. No surprise at all. Well, look, we're going to digest this a little bit more. All right. I want to thank everyone who has joined the show today. It has been wonderful. If you can please share the show, keep supporting the show. I'd appreciate it. And listen, I forgot to post the thumbnail up here, but tomorrow I have a superb Monday Madness for you. Okay. And you will not be disappointed. Not only are we going to dig deeper after digesting the game and listening to what the universe has to say about it, but we're also going to talk about the Premier League at large with 2 very special guests. We're going to have NBC Premier League host Rebecca Lowe with us, also the host of the new podcast with Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville. It's called Soccer. And yes, I'm going to ask her if Gary Neville is the most annoying on the planet. And we also have the legendary journalist and writer Henry Winter. So how about that for a football conversation on Monday Madness? It is going to be at the earlier time of 5 p.m. So tomorrow, Monday Madness, 5 p.m. UK time. We've got Rebecca Lowe and Henry Winter. Please don't miss it. Please look out for it. It's posted already. So put your alerts on because it is at 5 o'clock and you're going to want to be reminded. Thank you, Tammy. They are superb guests. Super Harvey, thank you for that. Rebecca Lowe, yeah, she's the best. And Rebecca will be in good spirits because her Crystal Palace beat Tottenham Hotspur today. So Rebecca is going to be on fine form tomorrow. So that will be a really, really good show. Well done, everyone in the chat. Well said, Wesbird. Remember to hit the like button. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And chin up. You know, it's a 2-2 against Liverpool, who are very good under Slot, very well organized, very well disciplined. They've got superb players, at least 4 world-class players. We were missing important players. We did get Saka and Timber back, and it showed you the importance of having them back. So it's not over just yet. Tony keeps telling me when I want to be Debbie Downer, she's like, oh, listen to you. It's only October. So the only reason I'm being positive is because I have someone positive at home who's helping me along the way. But really, it was a good performance, but we need to fix things. There's no doubt about that. Nothing is perfect. But I'm not going to hear the sky is falling. Not today. Absolutely not. And there was some good performances. And I think the players are going to be disappointed that they didn't win that one. All right. October surprise. Do you watch baseball? By the way, if you're not watching the World Series, you should. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, every single person who was part of the show today. None of it is possible without you. Please keep watching. And until tomorrow, where we will have a chat with Rebecca and with Henry Winter at Ease Squaddies at Ease. Don't forget to tell your loved ones you love them. Night, night.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Just thought I'd cheer you guys up. Good night.